So, it's nice to meet you.
And you?
And you are Chris Pramas. People may know your games, but they may not know you. Mm-hmm. So, can you give us like a short introduction about you? I mean, a short summary of everything you have done.
Okay. One thing a lot of people don't know about me is how to pronounce my last name. So it's pronounced Pramas.
Pramas.
It rhymes with famous.
Okay.
It's the easy way to remember. So I was a young gamer nerd. I was like, I want to do that. And so in 1993, I started getting freelance writing jobs in the game industry. And so I spent some years working on a bunch of different games, like Feng Shui and Over the Edge and the Star Trek Next Generation game and a bunch of things like that. And then when I really didn't have enough experience, I started my first game company. And it was a learning experience, but it didn't really go well. But from there, I was able to springboard into working at Wizards of the Coast. So I spent 4 years working there, writing D&D and one Alternity book. And then I was on the team that launched miniatures there as well. And in the middle of that, I started Green Ronin as a side project because I was working on miniature stuff. I thought it'd be nice to keep my finger in the role-playing pie, you know? So that was just kind of a side gig. But then Hasbro bought Wizards, and then they started laying people off more regularly. So in 2002, I was laid off. Green Ronin was 2 years old at that point, so I just stepped into doing that full time. So here we are.
And you've published quite a lot of different systems over the years. And I mean, the most important one today, I guess, at DreieichCon is Fantasy Age. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, it was released in English 2023?
Yes.
3 years ago?
Yes.
And it just released in German.
That's right.
Yeah. Could you go with us through, like, what is Fantasy Age and what is the second edition of Fantasy Age? What is different? What changed?
Yeah. This is the German edition from Truant-Spiele. Okay, so Fantasy Age started life as a different game called Dragon Age. That was a license from BioWare based on their video game property. And they had actually come to us when they were developing Dragon Age Origins, and they said, hey, we're doing the spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate. We think it'd be cool as like a nod to the roots to have a tabletop game to go with it, and do you want to do it? And naturally I said, of course I do. So I designed a game system for that, which we called the Adventure Game Engine. And my goal with it was to show computer game people how cool tabletop was by giving them an easy bridge into it. So when we first released the game, we did like an introductory box set that covered the first 5 levels of play. And we put that out, and a lot of people liked the system and said, you know, I really like your system, but I'm not interested in role-playing in the Dragon Age world. You know, could you maybe do a different version of it? And so we were going to do that, but then it happens much more quickly than we thought, because Will Wheaton had done the tabletop show on YouTube and such, and he wanted to follow it up with a role-playing game show. And so he called me and said, hey, I really want to use your age system as the basis of this campaign I'm going to run. And so, you know, can we work together on doing that? And once again, I said, yes, of course. So we created a science fantasy setting, Will, his son, and I, called Titan's Grave. And then the show was like a 10-episode mini campaign. We had Hank Green and Laura Bailey and Yuri Lowenthal and Allison Hayslip as the players. That was great. And so But when we started that, everything had to be done very quickly, which meant I needed to write a rule book very quickly, pulling out the system from Dragon Age and modifying it. So that's how Fantasy Age was born. We did the Fantasy Age basic rule book, and that and the Titan's Grave adventure book came out at the same time. We debuted this at Gen Con. So that was Fantasy Age first edition, and then we went through some years. We published a bunch of supplements and things, and we eventually decided that really we just need to consolidate things into a single core book. So we took the opportunity to take feedback. Also, we had been publishing other games using the adventure game engine. So we had done Modern Age and Blue Rose, and so we took some of the lessons from those games and added things back into Fantasy Age. And that's how we ended up. This is the English language edition. So this is, a proper core rule book with everything you need to get started and to play a campaign.
Do you feel the first edition needed a bit of polish, and you went like, okay, let's do it properly this time, because the first time you didn't have much time to do it?
So basically, like the year I was doing it, we started the project in January. The show was filmed in March or April.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I had to get the books ready for publication so we could have them in August for Gen Con, which meant sending them to print in June. So, yes, so it was all very hurriedly put together. And so I didn't really have a chance to sit down and think about it more deeply. That's one of the reasons I called it a basic rule book too, is that, again, with the idea of new people trying it, I want to keep it modesty sized. So it was like 144 pages or something. So yes, when we decided to do second edition, it was like, let's really think about this. Let's take some time and try to improve everything, offer new options, and offer at least kind of a meta setting to go with it.
I mean, from your first edition to today, the TTRPG scene itself changed quite a bit.
Yes.
Do you think that influenced like the development of your second edition of Fantasy Age?
Well, so there are several different writers that worked on it. There were ultimately 3 developers who worked on it. So me, Owen Stevens, and Malcolm Shepard. And so, all of our various influences came to bear. And so, yes, I do think some more modern elements from those in-between years did make it back into the game. So, the original game didn't have what are called bonds, and we initially did those for Blue Rose, I think it was. And, bonds are really role-playing tools, where it's like you can have a bond with another person or an ideal or something like that. And so if you're in a scene and your bond comes to bear, that can affect things, mechanically speaking, for what's happening in the game. So stuff like that was different than the first edition.
When you released your second edition with 1 year before the next edition of Dungeons and Dragons, do you feel like that was the right time or the wrong time, or maybe would you do it differently had you known that?
No, it was exactly the right time, because at the start of 2023, Wizards tried to cancel the open game license in what is now generally known as the OGL debacle. And so Wizards had a huge marketing fail and a giant shitstorm where all the people who were into open gaming and all that, were furious at what they were trying to do. And so lots of people were suddenly looking for an alternative to D&D. And so we were right there with a nearly finished core rulebook. So we got a lot of attention that we probably wouldn't have gotten in the months leading up to release. So turned out, good time.
Good. And here at DreieichCon, like besides Fantasy Age, what else can you show people from Green Ronin?
So we have me and some masterminds. This is our long-running superhero game. This dates back to 2002. This is the 3rd edition. This has been the edition since 2011. And so we've been working on a 4th edition. So we're going to be crowdfunding the 4th edition of Mutants and Masterminds in January. We did this book over the summer. This is a playtest edition. So this is basically like the state of the rules in July of this year. And then we sold PDFs and we made a limited number of these books and sold them at Gen Con and off our website. And so it's a completely playable game, but we have implemented feedback since this came out. So 4th edition will be even more developed than this. But I had some extras, so I brought some here in case anyone in Germany wanted one. So there's that, and then we have a bunch of other age system games that we've developed. Malcolm Shepard did Cthulhu Awakens, which is our take on the mythos. It is not Call of Cthulhu with a different system attached to it. We really tried to build our own thing. So we just went back to the original public domain Lovecraft stories, and then we built a gameable setting on top of that. And we encourage you to not just do what everyone else does, but to make up new things for your game, because the spirit of the extended Lovecraft community is you take some core ideas and you make them your own. So that's what we tried to do here. And then we have Blue Rose, which is a game of romantic fantasy. This was originally released in 2005 using another system. It was called the True 20 system, which we published in that era. And that was like a stripped down D20 system of rules. It's still pretty good, but we thought it would be a very good match with the age system. So we did this. So it's romantic fantasy. It has very different assumptions from D&D. You are not playing murder hobos. You know, you live in a kingdom called Aldis, which is a meritocracy, and you play troubleshooters who work for the queen. So you're called the Sovereign's Finest, and you are going up against internal and external enemies, you know, be they a cult or, you know, the nation of religious fanatics that wants to burn Aldis to the ground or what have you. It's very LGBTQ plus friendly. You can play psychic animals in it too, so it's a very different vibe. Great aesthetic. I mean, I love this cover to pieces. This is Stephanie Law is the artist thing.
It's a great cover.
Yeah.
I mean, I love seeing like a romantic fantasy game, and I looked at the cover and went like, yeah, this looks like romantic fantasy, but I have no idea what I should like. What is a game that is romantic fantasy?
Yeah.
What does that play like? What is different from like every other fantasy game?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it comes down to your group, right? Because, of course, there can be actual romance in it, if you like. Not everyone is comfortable with that at the table. And, you know, that setup where you play the Sovereign's Finest, that's kind of the default, but you can set up many different ideas. You know, you can do a campaign where everyone's a psychic animal, you know, if you want to. So, you know, there is still basic fantasy adventuring stuff, but it's not just fight. You know, there's investigation, you know, role-playing, character development, all that narrative stuff that people like. So.
I interrupted you rudely at the Blue Rose because I love it, but we have Modern Age.
Yes. Okay, so this is basically the modern equivalent of Fantasy Age. This is very much a toolkit system. You can basically cover anything from the Industrial Revolution to the near future. And you can do straight historical stuff if you want to. Or you can do cyberpunk, you can do urban fantasy. There's different systems if you want to add psychic powers and whatnot. And The most recent release, which just came out, is called Powers, and this is just a big book with lots of options to do extraordinary abilities in different ways in your modern age game. So it takes a little more work with modern age because you need to decide the parameters of the campaign and so on, and it also includes what are called game modes. So like a core decision the game master makes in a modern age campaign is it going to be gritty, is it going to be pulpy, or is it going to be cinematic? And that really controls the lethality level of the game. So if you're playing in a gritty mode game and you get hit with a shotgun at point blank range, you could die. Pulpy games are more like, two Colt 45, not exactly supers, but people of action, and they're not going to get gunned down in 3 seconds. And then cinematic is just wahoo Hollywood level stuff. So yeah, you can run a wide variety of games there.
So then one last question. Give me your elevator pitch. Why should I play the age system?
Sorry. So the elevator pitch is that the age system, the core of it is what's called the stunt system. It is very different from other games. So basically, there are different sorts of stunts that match the different encounter types. So you've got combat stunts, there's social stunts for role-playing scenes, exploration stunts, spell stunts, and some specialized ones like chases and so on. And the way that works is the whole resolution is done on 3 6-sided dice. One of them is a different color. This is called variously the stunt die or the drama die, depending on the game. So when you're going to roll to do something, if you get doubles on any of the dice and you succeed, the result of the stunt die gives you a currency called stunt points, and then you use it to do cool things by buying stunts. And you use them right away. It's like you get 5 stunt points, you pick 1 5-point stunt or 1 3 and 1 2, whatever you want to do, and then kind of narrate the cool things that you did.
Great. And thank you very much. I hope you have a successful convention.
Thank you.
And I hope you have fun.
Yeah. It's always fun coming to DreieichCon.
That's nice to hear. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.